Welcome to another episode of Life and Whiskey. As always, I'm Jordan. Today we are going to look at backwards distilling out of Mills, Wyoming, which is, I guess, if you want to consider it, Casper is not a huge community. It's 60, 70,000. And in amongst that is a couple of smaller communities that the city of Casper is kind of grown and overtaken. So if you want to consider them suburbs, or I don't know what you want to call them, Evansville being one, on the east side of town, Mills being on the northwest side of town, essentially. This distillery is out of Mills. When my wife and I moved to Wyoming, we first lived in Casper, and well, technically Evansville, and we went and checked them out. They were just getting started. I don't even know if they were a year old when we first went in there, and they mainly were doing unaged spirits, same as every other craft distiller, doing rum and vodka and gin and things like that. And they were putting stuff in barrels and starting to age it. So this is one of those products that they aged. It is an American whiskey, which typically means that it has a neutral grain spirit mixed in with it. I do not know what the grain bill is, the mash bill is for this particular bottling. Whether or not there is neutral grain spirit in here or not, I do not know. But typically, it's like a bourbon mash bill mixed with a neutral grain spirit, then thrown into a barrel. Products like Kessler's, Potter's, things like that. Also, the very last video, we just looked at, excuse me, tickle in my throat. Just got done reviewing the Whiskey Row straight blended bourbon. I think that would follow in the footsteps of this somewhat. Even though, like I was saying on that one's just a really high corn mash bill. Apparently, it's not mixed with neutral grain spirit, as far as I know. I think this one may be. Picked this up for $45.89 here locally. Not exactly cheap. Especially for an American whiskey, which tends to be kind of the bottom shelf. Background on the American whiskey, 70s and 80s, clear spirits were really taking off, gin, vodka, stuff like that. Whiskey scene was kind of dying, and the whiskey companies, most of them were trying to say, hey, we can do that too, and they made a light whiskey or an American whiskey where they were either distilling at much higher proofs, or they were taking neutral grain spirits and cutting their whiskey, their bourbon in particular, with the neutral grain spirits to create a higher proof or not as flavorful whiskey. Okay, because neutral grain spirits, a lot of the flavors stripped out of those because you're distilling at such a high proof. They were trying to compete with that market. Who knows why? Because today, bourbon is flying off the shelf so high, at such a high rate that they're not able to even keep up with demand. Hence why a lot of age statements have either been brought down or removed completely from older brands that used to be 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. Those age statement whiskeys are being the branding, the age statement on that branding is being removed because they just don't have whiskey that old anymore. Anyways, long story longer. I've said that a lot recently because it seems that I can't just explain anything quick and easy. This is batch number 5, bottle number 716. But I did want to highlight another Wyoming based distillery just because, I like to support our local people, especially in these chaotic times. I do really like their glasses. I like that, or their bottles, because I like that they have a lip. It actually makes pouring a lot easier. They also have, and I don't remember the name of this, but that hole in the bottom of the glass, the bottle. I do like those. They're nice little glasses, bottles. I don't know why I keep saying glasses. They're nice glass bottles, anyways. So there we have that. On the nose, here we go. It has a malty, sort of vomity funk that first hit me. On the second nosing, that completely disappeared. And it has a sugary sweet, mentholy circus peanut smell. A hint of grain dust, not corn, but just grain, bitten grain. But mostly like hard candy, sugary sweetness. That circus peanut note is pretty spot on, which is interesting. I've tried this once before. I didn't get that note out of it before, but it is funny to me because Backwards Distilling, if you go to their website or whatever, you'll see that their theme is kind of carnival circus. And it's not on this bottling and this labeling, but they have a lot of interesting like old circus mural art kind of stuff that adorns a lot of their bottles and stuff. And so check them out. That was just purely by chance that I got that nosing note. A little more brown sugar caramel on the nose now. Just a touch of wood, touch of oak in there. But kind of in the background, there's this sour note. Interesting. All right, let's go in on the taste. A little disappointing. Very watery thin for the first second or two. Picks up with a vanilla graham cracker, honey, kind of in the middle, but not super sweet. None of those notes are very sweet. They're kind of tamped down. Then it picks up with a little bit of bitiness at the end. A little oak, black pepper. It's a nice profile. It's better than the Whiskey Row profile I just got done doing. But all of the notes are very tamped down. It is, and one of the reasons is because it is running in at 40% ABV or 80 proof, bottom of the barrel. So they got this proofed way down, trying to maximize stuff, which you can't blame a small distillery for trying to do that. Malt, man, malt is what I'm getting out of the nose now, like Scotch malt. Very distinct. Bitey forward. An odd bitey sweetness in the middle. So the bitiness is not an ethanol ding. Like it's not going retronasal, it's not burning. Well, it's starting to burn in the stomach a little bit, but the bitiness is like black pepper spice, a barrel astringent, something. It's not. It's just spiky. Like all the notes are kind of spiky actually in the entire flavor profile. Needs more time in the barrel is what I would say. It needs a higher proof and more time in the barrel. Now, if this is indeed cut with a neutral grain spirit, either before it's put in the barrel or after, I would be able to understand why it has that spiky ding in there, because that's what neutral grain spirit does. However, if that is the case, this has more flavor than I would expect from something of that characteristic. If this is indeed mixed. If this is not a product that has neutral grain spirit in it, then I don't know where that bitiness comes from, and it definitely needs more time in the barrel. For the American whiskey category, I would say that this has 3 or 4 notes in it, more than most, but still nothing amazing. At almost $50, I would not be purchasing this. This to me, and granted, it's a craft spirit. Craft distilleries have to sell stuff at a much higher price just due to economies of scale. And well, really, that's it. Economies of scale. And so they have a hard time competing with the big brand names. But that being said, if you're going to be producing $50 whiskey, $40 whiskey, you gotta bring your A game. It's really gotta be spot on. And this being the first aged product out of Backwards that I've tried, it's not that I'm unimpressed with it. It's just way too expensive for what it is, in my opinion. Um, Not a ding against them at all, because again, they're trying to do what they need to do. They're getting recognized. They've expanded quite a bit, and I think they have other products that are aged as well, which may be much better in my opinion. I think they have a bourbon out there. Check out the Whiskey Vault. They may have done a review of a Backwards bourbon. I know they did one Backwards product. I think it was a bourbon. I could be wrong about that. I have not been able to find such things. Even so, I was down in Casper a couple weeks ago. I was unable to find anything other than this product as an aged product. I mean, I think one of the rums might have been aged, but I was unable to find anything whiskey wise that was an aged product other than this. And yeah, I'm not in it at that price range. It's just too much for me. But I would not steer away from this if this is in that 30 or 35 category and you're looking for a craft spirit that you just got something to go with, because that's kind of where crafts have to live, is in that price range. But yeah, I can't make a solid case for this. So in the comments down below, if you can find this in your area, I know they are distributing outside of Wyoming. So if you can find this in your area, let me know what you can find it for in your area. Also, drop any comments down below. What experiences you have with Backwards. I have talked to them a few times personally, their head distiller, especially when I was trying to get a distillery going. Super nice people. Really, really helpful. They do know their stuff. I'm not going to crap on them because it is not a bad whiskey. It's just not what I'm looking for at that price range. And that's how I would say it. It is, if this, in the American whiskey category, as I said, this definitely has more flavor than most, and is a step up from all those types of things. Now, that was very interesting. On that nosing, I just got pure brown sugar. It was very nice. And on that sip, that ding went away. It mellowed out. So maybe it just needs more time in a glass to open up a little bit, have some of that ethanol evaporate off. Because that was a lot smoother, creamier, and hard candy sweet with brown sugar going from start to finish. That's interesting. I was not expecting that. So maybe you just need to pour a glass and then go on a rant for a little bit. But anyways, there you go. There's my review. Thanks for watching. What did I say? $45.89 here locally. By Backwards Distilling. They're still a family-owned place in Mills. Check them out. Let me know what you think. I would greatly appreciate hearing any thoughts. If you haven't already, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. Also check out BitChute, Minds, and YouTube to find Life and Whiskey in all those places. And as always, thanks for watching. You guys have yourselves a great day. We'll catch you in the next video.